was before my time. It was before your time. It was even before Sue's great-great-grandmother's time.
What you were going to say then, Rob?
Yeah, it was at a time when birds built the nests in old men's beards. You know, if I tell that in a traditional folk club and I look round, there'll be all these old, you know, but I can only see 3 beards here, you know, we're all clean shaven, aren't we? You know, we're not a usual type of folk. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, there was 3 trees growing in a row. There was an oak tree, an ash tree, and a fir tree. And the oak tree and the ash tree were good, solid trees. They put down good, deep roots. But the fir tree, its roots were quite shallow. And when the wind blew, it used to sway side to side. Well, along came a family of travellers and camped just by these trees. The mother of that family had got a young child. And it was mithered, as we say. It just wouldn't settle, this child. She had to rock it all the time just to get it to sleep. Well, she noticed this fir tree blowing backwards and forwards in the breeze. And she had this brilliant idea. She placed the child on the lower branches of the tree. Now, before we get all the health and safety people in here, I want to point out she did secure the child. She used a, you know, a British Standards kite mark strap, you know, pull it nice and tight, a good ratchet, you know what I mean? It was, the child wasn't going to fall off. Anyway, the wind blew and rocked the child and the child slipped. For the first time in weeks, that mother had a good night's sleep. Next day, the travellers moved on. And these were magical times, and trees had the power of speech. And they got talking, and they knew that when they ceased to be trees, they would become lumber, as the Americans called it. They knew there would be use, the wood of their tree would be used for something else. And they started talking about what they'd like their wood to be used for. And the oak tree said, well, I'd like my wood to be used to build a ship to sail 7 seas. And the ash tree said, I don't really mind what my wood's used for, as long as it brings people pleasure. And the fir tree said, well, you know, I quite enjoyed rocking that child there, and I'd like my wood to be used for something like that. So that was agreed. But then the men turned up with axes, and perhaps they had a chainsaw, I don't know, but they chopped them trees down and hauled the trunks off to the timber yard, where they were cut up into planks and beams and stacked out to dry. And pretty soon a shipwright turned up, and he bought all of that oak, and he built not just 1, not 2, but 3 ships sailed 7 seas. The ash lay there quite a while seasoning until it was nice and dry, and then an instrument maker, a maker of musical instruments, turned up, and he bought all that timber. And well, over the years we've had a lot of different instruments in this club. We've had quite a few people who make their own instruments, like Dennis here, you know. And I think perhaps it was wood from that tree that was built into a lot of these instruments, because we've always had enjoyment out of them. Now, the wood from the fir tree is not very good. It's all knotted and gnarled. And it lay in the corner of that yard for years, until an old farmer with an eye for a bargain bought that. Well, he used some of it to repair his fences. bit to, you know, patch his barn up. And then he decided to attempt a slightly better project. He tried to build a box. Now, a box is easy enough to build, but there's one difficult bit, and that's the lid. And he never quite got round to building the lid. So that box stood in his barn for years, and all the dry straw and hay gathered in that box. Then one night, an old man turned up with his pregnant wife, and she gave birth. They laid that child in that box, in that straw. So you can see that became a very special cradle. And perhaps that's why these days we take the fir tree, take it into our house and decorate it to remind us of that very special event. I saw 3 ships come sailing in on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. I saw 3 ships come sailing in on Christmas Day in the morning. It's one of the mysteries of Christmas to me, that is. I've never figured out what that carol is all about. But I do know where the wood came from to build those 3 ships.